I know I'm going to get a lot of flack out there because there's a lot of brilliant physicians, pharmacists, nurses. There's a lot of they're brilliant. There's a lot of people who are very, very smart. But there's a very difference between being smart and intelligent. And what I mean by that is, if you're just regurgitating information that you were taught and not able to look at this patient and make a determination or discernment based specifically on this patient, that is not thinking, okay? If every time you have to upload what the symptoms are into a program, to determine what medication is supposed to be given to this patient, given their medical history, given their signs and symptoms, okay? Given their current medications, okay? If the only thing you're doing is just uploading information and then spitting something back to you, and it's not patient specific, then that isn't thinking to me at all, okay? And the other thing is, it's not thinking with the mindset of healing. It's thinking with the mindset of treat the symptoms, not the cause. Okay, so the first thing I would do as a diabolical genius is take over the entire education system, because if I can program you to be how I want you to be, to think how I want you to think, to act how I want you to act, and I can do that for 12 years, K through 12. You could be indoctrinated with my programming for 12 years, and then an additional 4, and then an additional 4 more if you want to be a professional. Then by the time you're done, you're going to be fully indoctrinated, which is why, a lot of people get degrees and they never use them. They never use them. So that's the first thing I would do. I would have to take over education so that I would have complete control of the generations to come, okay? They have to be programmed with everything that I want them to think, to do, to be, and to act upon, okay? The second thing I would have to do is I would have to control food. Now, here's why I have to control food and water. This is why it's really important. Because if you really want to bring somebody to their knees, if you really want to control somebody, control them with something that you give them 3 daily doses of every day, and that's 3 meals a day. Okay? That's the easiest way to control somebody. So I got to control food. So how am I going to control food? Well, the first thing I need to do is, I know this food that is natural, I know that food is what's keeping them healthy in the first place. Okay, so I got to make the food unnatural. And it's got to be as unnatural as possible, but not so unnatural that it instantly takes them out, okay? I'm talking like 70% unnatural. Sort of like the standard American diet. I want you to look that up. What percentage of the standard American diet is processed food? Processed means fake, synthetic food. 70% of the standard American diet today is processed. And when you look at our urban neighborhoods, that number is even higher. There's kids that have never tasted real food, okay? I remember I brought like food to a community in a school that I was mentoring and doing a seminar with. And I brought a lot of fruit because you guys know I own a fruit company. And I had some kids taste blueberries for the first time. First of all, they didn't even know what a blueberry looked like. And when they saw it, they was like, that's not what a blueberry looks like. And I said, well, what does it look like? They was like, I don't know, but it's like black. And I was like, well, this is kind of black. And they were like, well, it's like black, like the black that's in Pop-Tarts. They had never had real food. Like everything was processed. Nothing was real. The vast majority of their food, unfortunately, because they lived in food deserts, there was poor access to healthy food. A large majority of their food, their parents were getting from like the Family Dollar, okay? The Dollar General. Okay? So it's hugely important to understand if I want to control people, then I got to control the food. And why is it important to control the food? Because if I control the food, I can make them addicted to it. They'll be so busy trying to get that next high when it comes to sugar, when it comes to fat, when it comes to crunchy. They'll be so busy trying to get that next high that they won't have time for anything else. And if I take it away, then they're going to be mad. And isn't that what people do today? Like whenever I start talking about eating healthy and you got to get rid of this and get rid of that because it's killing you, people say, no, I love my food. And I say, well, what if your food is killing you? And they're like, hey, I'm willing to die about it. That is addiction. Okay, so I got to have people addicted. I got to take over food. It's got to be processed. It's got to be genetically modified. Okay, it's got to have all kind of chemicals in it. It's got to have a lot of sugar. I want a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, because people get addicted to sugar and salt. I want a lot of fat in it too, because people like greasy too. All right. And what's beautiful about this, the more this food that they eat, the sicker they're going to get. All right. The more this food they eat, the sicker they're going to get. But it's not going to take them out in one instance. It's going to be a gradual pull off an hour, a day, a week, a month, years of their life. Okay. And why is that important? Because that person is the perfect patient. Okay. Somebody who is not only sick right now, but who is getting sicker every day by the day. All right, which leads me to my third thing I need to control after I control the food and water. Okay, I control the food and water because you guys remember in Nazi Germany, they used fluoride to control a lot of the people who were in the camps because fluoride makes you docile. Okay, fluoride affects your cognitive abilities. Okay, so I got to put that in the water. All right. And now that you sick because you drinking this water that is tainted with fluoride, chlorine, chloramine, bacteria, and the list goes on, and you're eating a diet that consists 70% of processed food, man-made food. Nothing. The vast majority of your food is not only is it not divine, but the vast majority of it is overcooked too. So even the portion, the 30%, is probably overcooked because 50% of the vegetables that people are eating are potatoes. And the vast majority of those potatoes are in the form of French fries and potato chips. Okay? So I got to control the food. All right? I control the food. I got you addicted. I got you getting sicker by the day. I got to control medicine. I got to control medicine. I talked earlier about that Flexner report that was created by the Rockefeller Foundation. What I didn't tell you was that when they rebuilt all of the medical schools, they had to follow all of the procedures and all of the standard operational procedures that they wanted them to follow. Otherwise, they would not get funding for the school. They would not get accreditation for the school. This is why today you don't see anything natural in medicine. Not even the food at the hospital is natural. This is why you don't see, like back in the days, you could go to the doctor and get chiropractic work. You can get Reiki work, which is energy work. You could get herbal medicine, which was the vast form of medicine in the early 1900s. It wasn't like drugs. The vast majority of medicine that you would go see a doctor for will be something natural. Okay. Now, albeit they were doing crazy things like, bloodletting and mercury, but the vast majority of things that we're giving out was, hey, you need to go rest, have some water, and take this herb. Okay. They did away with that. And that was very intentional. Okay. That was part of my diabolical plan to create a war on natural medicine. Now, why would I need to create a war on natural medicine? Because people have always been skeptical about anything that was unnatural. The mercury that they used to use, which is literally a toxin. Like if mercury spilled out, and this happened one day I was at the hospital, we used to have those big thermometers that had the mercury in it. So as the temperature went up, you would see the mercury go up. One time the thermometer fell off the wall, hit the ground, and the mercury spat out everywhere. We had to leave the pharmacy and call the hazmat team. Okay? Call the hazmat team in to clean up the mercury. And they couldn't put it in a regular trash bag. They had to dispose of it totally different. Okay? This is what they were using in the 1800s and the early 1900s. Okay?